Episode 3, Percy Jackson Review. We visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. Percy's in the attic of the big house to visit the Oracle. The Oracle is scary. Like, sometimes I forget that Percy Jackson is supposed to be 12. Like, if I was 12 and a corpse started bellowing out green gas at me, I would be out of the country in a second. It's even spookier with the whistling noises in the background. Honestly, this scene was really good. I think it was honestly perfect. So, the Oracle, who's taken the form of Smelly Gabe, tells Percy the prophecy, "You shall go west and face the god that has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned." This is only part of the prophecy, but they cut away after these two lines to a different scene. Chiron tells Percy to choose the 2 people who shall accompany him on his quest, and before Chiron even finishes his sentence, Percy blurts out Annabeth. Also, as I always do, I have to say I love the set of the choosing ceremony. Again, the beautiful ring with like the columns that it's sitting on. Oh, it just looks so elegant. Percy's chosen Annabeth, but he needs one more person to accompany him on his quest. I wonder who he might pick. Grover is shoveling Pegasus poo as a punishment, and Percy comes to brighten up his day and tell him that he chose Grover to be the final member of the quest. Immediately after this, the second half of the prophecy continues. You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you friend, and fail to save what matters most in the end. This hit. Like, this was so good. I just know that when Rick wrote this 20 years ago, he knew he ate. Like, that prophecy is so perfect. They did this scene so well, and I'm like a massive fan of this scene. They cut up the prophecy because it shows Percy's thought process and his intentions, and they're finally showing and not telling. I really think that the first part of this episode was what a lot of people would have wanted the rest of the series to be like. Unfortunately, it does not carry on that way. Percy's in the Poseidon cabin. Again, the sets, are you kidding? It's perfection. I kind of want to live in the Poseidon cabin, minus maybe the whale skeletons. Luke appears and gives Percy a box with red Converse inside, but they're not ordinary shoes. No, they can fly. The way they had the laces turned into the wings was really smart. The drachmas, which are ancient Greek currency that Percy's holding, look so fake. I'm so sorry, but they look like chocolate coins. I don't know who is in charge of that. Percy is wearing the most Percy outfit ever. When they go past Talia's tree, Percy's all like, wow, Zeus is so powerful, but he can only turn her into a tree. And Annabeth has a go at him and says, "She was the bravest demigod I ever knew. She fought valiantly, and she met a hero's fate." And Percy says, "She met a pinecone's fate." Also, Annabeth's lines here stand out to me because they just sound quite unnatural, which I don't think's on Leah. I just think the writing's just a bit awkward. But the 3 are off on their quest to save the world. As they're traveling to New York, Grover has a monologue about how important heroes' quests are and how they can be world-altering. I really like this. Instead of Grover and Percy just sitting down face to face having a conversation about this, they went a much better way. I'm of the opinion that the more monologues the better with this show. So, they're in New York City, and now they're on a stinky bus, and they're talking very loudly on a dead quiet bus. If they want to keep a low profile, very loudly talking on a dead quiet bus will not help you. Percy and Annabeth start to argue on the bus, and Grover stops the argument by singing the consensus song, which goes like this.
Oh golly, the road's getting bumpy 'cause I got me some friends who just can't get along. Oh dear, when the team's getting grumpy, the trick to getting through it is singing this song.
This reactions are amazing. Annabeth is making her way back to the bus from the convenience store and runs into Mrs. Dodds, or Alecto. Annabeth is talking to Mrs. Dodds with her invisible hat on, so they don't show Annabeth, and the camera is just on Mrs. Dodds. But wow, the dialogue sounds so off. Whenever Annabeth speaks, I'm transported back to the fact that, oh yeah, this is definitely recorded after. It does not fit the rest of the audio. Anyway, Mrs. Dodds says something that is reiterated throughout this whole episode and other episodes. It's the idea that Percy is not important to the quest. I'm sorry, if anything, Percy is integral to this quest. The only reason that they were able to take on this quest is because of Percy. He was the one that the prophecy spoke of. Without him, there wouldn't be a quest. And later on, Percy talks about how he needed people on the quest that were willing to keep going without him. No, dude, you also need to be there. I really don't like this whole narrative. Okay, back on track. Mrs. Dodds attacks them, and Annabeth eats her dagger and vaporizes one of the Furies. But because the Furies attacked them, they had to get off the bus and now are lost in the middle of the woods. Percy wants to call Camp Half-Blood because they're lost. But Annabeth has a go at him and says that the reason she doesn't want to call is because it's supposed to be hard. That's why only certain people are chosen. If we call camp, we're basically saying it was a mistake to choose us. First of all, completely contradicting the whole Percy's not important to the quest idea. And secondly, I don't know why the answer to Percy asking if they could call camp wasn't, oh, we don't have cell phones because monsters can track us that way. That's a very significant plot point in the books, and I don't understand why they wouldn't have just said that. That's like a way easier reason. Anyway, Grover smells hamburgers, and they follow his nose to Auntie M's Garden Emporium. I need a Scooby-Doo Percy Jackson crossover episode because that is 1,000,000% the monster from Spooky Island. This is where the episode began to go downhill for me. It started really strong and just declined. So Annabeth instantly figures out that Auntie M's place is actually Medusa's Garden Emporium and the statues are her victims. Dude, that instantly dissolves all of the tension. In the book, they don't know that Auntie M is Medusa, so they go into her house not knowing, and then while they're in her house, they start to piece together clues like hearing hissing and certain other things, and then before it's too late, they figure out that she's Medusa and they're in trouble. In the show, it's just like, oh, this is Medusa and we're fully aware of that, and we know that that's a bad idea, but we're just going to go in anyway. Also, may I point out that Medusa is wearing a hat with a veil that totally does not cover her eyes. I can see her eyes. Because of the lack of tension in the scene, it becomes really boring when they're all sitting down talking. Like, cool, Medusa story time, why? Then Percy goes with Medusa to help her in the kitchen, and as she's talking, he sneaks off and they run down to the basement to escape. So now, after unsuccessfully escaping to Medusa's basement, which is actually an airplane hangar full of statues, the three split up and try to take her down. Okay, so from here on, the scene frustrates me more. And not just because I can't see what's going on because it's too dark. In the book, Medusa is knocked down by Grover, not being able to control the flying shoes that he's wearing. And Percy uses an orb to look into the reflection of it so that he can cut off Medusa's head without being petrified. In the movies, as dumb as it is, Percy uses the reflection of the back of his iPhone to try and not be petrified. In the show, there's no reflection. Annabeth puts her invisibility hat on Medusa, and Percy slices her head off, and we don't even see the head. Where is the excitement in that? Also, it is very important to have the reflection aspect added, because the original myth about Medusa and Perseus, he defeats her by using his shield's reflection. Perseus, who Percy is literally named after, is supposed to reenact this battle. I don't like what they did here. It really dulled down the story and made it much less exciting. Again, no tension. I would argue that the movie version was better. So, Percy grabs Medusa's now invisible head and can hold it very well. I think the head changes shape about 4 times. They argue over what to do with the head, and Percy sings the consensus song, and finally Percy decides that they're going to mail the head to Olympus. Okay, so the head, it's being mailed to Olympus. End of episode, right? No, it's not. Someone has to mail the head to Olympus. Someone would say that a messenger has to carry it to Olympus. Jump scare. Lin-Manuel Miranda is Hermes. Lin-Manuel Miranda is in the Percy Jackson canon. And of course he starts singing. Mr. Hambleton could not help himself. But seriously, why him as Hermes? I don't understand that. Anyway, thankfully, that is the end of the episode. My final thoughts. This episode started off really promisingly. As I was saying, I really enjoyed the first maybe like 5-10 minutes. I was excited until I very quickly wasn't. It's sad when there's glimmers of hope for the series and then it just continues to be subpar. I'm just really disappointed. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I'm just disappointed.